already put in all of the research, most of the years of research that I'm about to apply to what I tell you today.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing that since I was a child. And so just on GP, let me just give you the circumstances,
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was told, and this is, how I'm gonna tie it back in. I was told that we is from another planet, that it was brought here
Mm-hmm.
from another planet. And so I was told, and this is from many sources, not just one, and I think reputable sources,
Mm-hmm.
but that we came from, well, the Dogons say it came from Sirius.
Uh-huh.
The Sirius, I think it's Sirius A, Sirius B, and the three stars that make up the Orion's belt.
Right.
Okay, so it was said that that's where we came from, and that when you do, whatever the influence, because THC, you can get it in all kinds of forms now.
Mm-hmm.
You can eat it, you can smoke it, and it can be incorporated into an aromatic. It could be, something that you are exposing yourself to by taking a bath in it.
Mm-hmm.
There are all kinds of calming. They say CBD. I don't know the full effects of it. I do have a girlfriend that her daughter, who was involved in a metro accident and lost her legs. Apparently, when she bathed her in CBD, um, if she put that in the water for her bath,
Mm-hmm.
it would calm her down. It would put her in a more relaxed mode and take
And you
away
say it's
some of her
called
pain.
CB,
CBD.
and that's
It's
it's from the earth. It's
it's
something
a
natural.
byproduct of cannabis
Oh, okay.
or marijuana.
Okay, I got you.
Right. So cannabis apparently is, like I said, from one of the Sirius stars, and it was something that was supposedly to help us get lifted to a.
So let me ask you this, 'cause you're
Mhm.
not jumping in. So you had got this from your download, right?
No, I'm telling you, I'm about to come to the download, but
Okay, because
these
I
are
thought
things that were
I didn't know it came from Sirius and it's here on Earth. I thought it was just from the Earth.
right. It was, well, some things that happened. What I was told was that over the ages, how you have the Ice Age and the Iron Age, in which now we're leaving out of the Iron Age. And what I talked about last time was that we were moving into the Golden Age, and
Yeah, we
it's kind of like that
entering the golden
shift,
age now.
right? That Kali Yuga
Mm-hmm.
has now, that era is ending, and now
Mm-hmm.
we're beginning to see the signs of the Golden Age.
Right.
So now what I do see is, as an adult, I'm looking at the music of Parliament and all the different elements that I learned about as a child. Because in my neighborhood, we grew, and I say we, I had six Jamaican neighbors in my neighborhood. They all moved here from Jamaica, and
Okay.
a seventh one from the islands of the Barbados Islands.
Okay.
So they actually were growers. And so in my neighborhood, that was something I was exposed to as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Right.
I went to college and I played around with a bunch of things. And so as of now, what I'm learning is that when you get lifted, that actually it takes your, the monkey mind gets out of the way, and you get sort of, you elevate to a spiritual place where you can actually receive the downloads without the monkey mind interfering
Okay.
and causing a lot of jibber jabber and the peanut gallery talking you out of things that
Right.
you might have been just downloaded with. So okay, so the Dogons gave me that information, and then later, as I started to I was researching George Clinton and found out that he actually had a close encounter. Not just close, but right after, because I was watching, he was talking about, he don't talk about everything
Mm-hmm.
on all the platforms. He talks about what applies for where they are being, where he's being
He know where to
interviewed.
drop the jewels at.
Right. So there was this one, he was talking to this one guy, and it was about ETs, extraterrestrials. And so he recanted a story that he and Bootsy had they just finished the mothership connection, right? And just leaving the studio on their way to George's sister's house or something like that.
Mhm.
And on the way to the sister's house, and this was at night in the wee hours, um, some kind of way he saw like three laser lights. The first one went one direction, the other one went another direction, and then finally, the next one went down the middle, and it actually hit the car that time. The laser
Mhm.
light. So he and Bootsy apparently they missed a whole chunk of time. It was like 12 hours that they were missing, but they didn't even know. They thought it was, like this.
Right.
And I can concur with that kind of thing because I do, like I said, I was downloaded with the Gateway Meditation, and the Gateway
Mhm.
Meditation, you think you're gone for a long period of time because a lot happens in that space,
Right.
but it's just like this. It is not very long at all. So very interesting
And
that
then he would say what happened when he.
what he said was that he has not gotten into the specifics as far as revealing the details, but that he was abducted, that he and Bootsy had taken a ride on the other side.
And then and a lot of people probably ain't really believe him because he was into drugs and
And that's what he
smoking and
said.
stuff.
He was not high because he was coming back from a studio that was across the border.
Hmm.
And you can't carry, you can get locked up if
Right.
you carrying or concealing anything that's illegal
Right.
from one side to the other of the border. So
Right.
he said that he was not under the influence, and that he had his full faculties about himself. He might have been tired from whatever was going on at the studio, but
Hmm.
no,
And that's basically what he said, but he ain't say what happened when he got inducted.
no, he didn't go into the details, only that they missed a chunk of time and
Hmm.
he had no idea until his sister, you know,
I heard a few stories like that on people saying um, like the guy said he went in. His mother sent him to the store, and when he came out the store, that he seen. I don't remember the whole thing about Barrington, but he seen something, and something interrupted him. But when he came back home, his mother and father basically was mad at him, and they was gonna whip him because it was the next day, and he was
mm,
like, "The next day, what boy? Where the hell you been?" He was like, "I went to the store and came home." Right?
mm,
I wish I can remember all the details of what he was saying, but that's what I heard that story. And then when you
there we go, trying to
said
get the
that with
angle
George
right.
Clinton, hey, that's what happened. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I can agree with you on
So the thing was, he had actually finished the song first.
that. Uh huh.
He had finished the album first before he was abducted. That's the crazy part.
Okay.
But he was on to something, and he was getting all these downloads. Because he's talking about, how aqua. What do you say? Aqua.
Aqua Boogie,
Psycho
Psycho Aqua
Alpha
Disco
Disco
Made
Beta
Bio
Bio
Aqua
Aqua
Dulu.
Dulu. Well, so if we are 80 to 90% water, some percentage water above 70%, then we're walking bodies of water.
Right.
So you could it's he said he can't catch the rhythm of the
Other
stroke.
stroll.
Well, the whole thing is you don't have to swim because you're able to walk on land as a physical
Right.
walking body of water. So it seems to me like he's talking in code. He's
Right.
making up his own words, but he's telling us,
Hmm.
like he's saying, I'm too cool to dance.
Uh huh.
Well, actually, back then we were dancing, but
Yeah.
now we're not dancing. We two stepping.
Yeah.
We're too cool to dance.
Yeah.
You know, and so he actually dropped a bunch of gems that we had no idea.
Right.
As an adult, I now understand.
I actually believe um, by him saying that stuff and the way he was dropping the codes, that he actually knew what he was doing. It wasn't a coincidence. You know what I mean?
I think that he did have some
He just probably had
ideas.
to be
It's just
careful what he said out of his
right.
mouth.
And see, like the vibranium is supposedly like we talked about the last
Uh-huh.
time, heartbeat of the city, the go-go
Right.
has that percussion in it,
Hmm.
and that's why it relates to the homeland, to the motherland, to
Right.
Africa so well, because it has that percussive piece.
Hmm.
And so I believe that's what funk was about. Funk had a lot of percussive stuff. It would get us wiggling and moving.
Yeah, because that's what basically I was into funk before go-go. But if you think about it, when go-go came around, it was funk. It was funky.
Right.
You feel me? So it
Yeah.
was like they was merged. The funk was merged with the percussion. You feel me? And that's you know it's funky. What can you say? You can't
Right. Da,
never
da, da,
go ain't
da,
nothing
don't
without the
get
funk
funky
and the
with
heavy
it.
bass lines and all that stuff. Yeah.
Some of the things that I got later more in tuned with
Hmm.
was that, when you are able to get your monkey mind out of the way, like when I started to do research on these
I
songs,
had a
I did
what they
get
call it?
lifted.
What you call it when you have like a little quick flash?
A
The
deja
future.
vu.
Not really
Oh, a
deja vu,
future. Okay.
but
Premonition.
yeah, premonition.
Okay.
This premonition is it's gonna be a book. Mother Love is gonna take and go over all them Clinton songs and break it down in her terminology with her downloads and breaking it down what it means. And I
That
don't know if you can do that. I
that
guess you
that was
can
that
do
was my
that.
download. That was
You
part of my download,
okay?
is to
You
go ahead
can
and
do
do the
that,
research
yeah,
so it can
and break
be
it down to make it
disseminated. Mm-hmm.
where it's
Mm-hmm.
plain.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me?
And
Because
yeah,
like I
you
said,
can do that. I've already,
yeah,
as
because
part of my
I just know
research, I
when you
see
use
other
certain
people.
people, yeah, they do that, and they ain't really gotta get permission from other people that they doing.
Well, I
This.
wouldn't mind. I have had some close encounters with him, but I have not actually been introduced to him. One of my cousins, used to travel on the road with him.
Yeah, because
Actually,
he retired so many times.
yeah, because he's supposedly, I believe in March, he's going to be in concert in Newark.
Yeah, he retired, then he come out.
Yeah.
I guess it's hard to turn that money down.
But then too, he's actually getting more and more recognition. I think he's 83 now.
For real?
So so
Wow.
he's getting
Yeah,
I
he doing good to be 83 and can still get around like that. I seen him. I'm friends with him on Facebook, right?
mm-hmm.
And I seen him swimming. He was, I guess, in his backyard. He had a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful backyard. He
Mm-hmm.
had like an oasis in the backyard where the swimming pool was
Wow. So
at,
he
and
finally
they was
using
playing his music
mm-hmm.
on some loudspeakers. Yeah, so that
Mm.
was up.
Mm-hmm. But see, okay, so I believe he knew to a degree, like you said, he was getting these downloads and he
Hmm.
was implanting them, or what do you call that? Now we have music that is
Just think about this.
seeded.
Psycho out to disco beta. You know, people like, what is he
Well,
talking about? But he was making up.
psycho alpha to me, okay, he's saying they trying to psych you out with the language, because they starting with B instead of, whatever.
Uh-huh.
Psycho Alpha Disco Beta Bio Aqua Dulup Emotion Pictures Underwater
Starring
starring
most
most of
of
Yulu.
Yulu.
So like that
You have to
whole
actually break each piece
phrase,
down.
yes, that whole
Beta.
thing
Beta
is like a
is a
test.
yeah, but
Pe-
ain't beta is like a brain wave, a certain brain like you got alpha, beta,
And theta.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so he's breaking down that, and most people back in the day like that really one most average person wasn't into that kind of thinking. You feel me?
Right. And so that's why over the years, after I finally started, like, those seeds were planted back then.
Uh-huh.
So when my mind caught up to what those seeds were,
Uh-huh.
now I'm like, goodness gracious, that was the right thing to do, to plant it in the music,
Right.
because that's what they did.
And
They putting all
how
that
many-
crazy stuff as far as the bad tunes or bad tones that
Mhm.
conjure up certain other energies that you really don't want to have happen
Right.
in the hip hop and in R&B. They're skewing the tunes, skewing the the notes.
They even changed the frequency of music per se.
Exactly.
They changed the hertz in it.
Right. So all of those things that they're doing, he got a chance to he say re- deprogram and reprogram.
Mm-hmm.
He got a chance to deprogram some things and
Mm-hmm.
reprogram some things that now that I look back at it,
Mm-hmm.
it really makes I'm catching up to the knowledge that was planted back then, and it is now growing exponentially.
Yeah. So I think we should document that,
Mm-hmm.
make notes of it, so it can benefit the other people. Because they hitting us from all ends, so we got to fight back from all ends. You
Right.
feel me?
Our own in our music, yeah. Now George is still relevant in various they're making him relevant by teaming him up with some of the current artists,
Yeah.
and they're doing like up to date funky kinds of things. Some of them I like, some of them I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But some of his original, some of his very early stuff, he's got one called The Black Vampire.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's got
That's what some of his newer stuff.
that's
Oh,
back
way
in
back.
the
Oh, okay.
60s, and so he was light years in time, ahead of his time, right?
Yeah. Right now in the day, I just love to hear when that music come on, and he get to talking. Yeah, this is WPFNW, whatever he's saying. We funk the mothership, the connects, the bomb, and they be chunk, chunk, and I'm off, in the back.
That George alluded to, because
Mhm.
he talks about the hip bone is connected to the thigh bone, and thigh bone connected to the, all, because see, that is actually a representation in the Masons
Mhm.
signs and symbols of your shin. Your shin is where your blood actually begins to from the bone marrow is
Mhm.
where in the shin is where this blood converts
Mhm.
from the plasma that's in
Right.
your bone marrow. So it starts there, and then it works its way through your body. But what I was saying that to say is he was referring to a whole bunch of things that if we didn't look at it in a spiritual way or an uplifted or elevated way, we would just be singing the words. And that's why I was saying people fake the funk, where these other groups are doing funky style music, but it never hit the same way because you did not have the same kind of
The lyrical
impact.
context.
Yeah, because it had these special lyrics that took you to another place. It
Mhm.
really made you think, and you feel like you saying some futuristic stuff, not realizing you're really programming yourself, because it's going to come back up later on, just like when you do that shadow work, because of
Mhm.
something you learned as a child that you're like, oh my God, now that I see it through an adult's eyes, I know I can't say I hate this or hate that anymore because of whatever this other people told me. I now, I taste it. Oh, I don't hate it. I like it.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Well, let me go back and so everything that I used to hate, because like maybe just say, let's just say tomatoes. I used to not like tomatoes. But then I went to a farm and I ate a tomato straight out the farm and put some salt on it, and all of a sudden I like tomatoes.
Yeah, my mother used to do that. Put that salt and pepper on the tomatoes, and I wouldn't back in the day wouldn't eat them, but now I take a tomato and eat it like it's an apple.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I'm saying? But back in the day, I wouldn't. I didn't used to like broccoli back in the day. I love broccoli.
See, as an adult, you changed your mindset about it.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I was saying. When you go back and you work on some of those things that you learned as a child and put the adult mind concept on it, you really start to, revise your thought process. You can have a paradigm shift. And that's what also George talks about, shifting your paradigm, which is the other reason why he talked about the glasses.
Right.
But like one of them, he says, a funk a day keeps the nurse away.
Almost like that concept of hour day keep the doctors away.
Right. And it's just the same way that the sisters got up on the stage. We talked about this last time in Ghana when Junk was there. Is Junkyard? Backyard was there. And these African ladies got up there and they were grooving, and it actually looked like they were doing the dances that we do sometimes,
Yeah.
shaking their rump,
Uh-huh.
But it really, it just made me think that it's all in the beat, the heartbeat, And so I really am going to go back and get more in depth into it,
Mhm.
and come with a few more references. I mean, I have the songs on the lyrics on my phone that I could talk about, but every time I do that, it takes me off of my live. So
Oh, okay.
so I think I'll go ahead and take a pause, and then you and I can go by whatever footage that we have here, and I'm hoping that you know it comes across in in a legible way. So I'm going to take a break from my YouTube. Guys, I'll be back shortly. I'm about to break some
Oh, I
things
know
down.
they came to I think it was the RFK Stadium.
Hmm.
Or if they wasn't there, it was a humankind day. But I know
Oh,
they was playing the music, right?
okay.
And people was just out in the open smoking weed and shit like that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah,
At the Capitol Center, what would they call that? Festival style.
yeah. So I hit a jump and
I can't get a
I was on
good
the
picture
field,
of
right? And it's just like
it. It hit you.
that's when that shit hit me, it just like I'm just like and I was sitting on the field, right? And the speakers seemed like a big ass stereo at home.
Hmm.
And I was just sitting at my everything was just this well not but me and the music. And then I was like, I can't be around all these people like that, right?
Hmm.
So
That's that paranoia.
yeah. And then that shit when I got to myself, I had to get up and I went and sat in on the bleachers, right? And until I came down. Because back in the day, they ain't take a lot for me, to
Hmm.
get high. Some people be
Hmm.
smoking a lot.
Well, then it's also
I
you're gonna
just,
catch a contact
yeah,
because it's an open space, but
yeah.
everybody down
And
there
I did
is.
that when we played at the Wasted Lounge, and I don't smoke no more. And I was in that motherfucker that whole lot. Because I didn't even know they were smoking that shit in there. I guess that's probably why they call it the Wasted Lounge. And I was like, I had to get
Yeah.
out there and get some fresh air. I
Hmm.
was like, because you know what I'm saying, I ain't trying to go backwards and shit. You know? And a lot of people that was ex, um, I guess drug addict or whatever, they was
Hmm.
like, I can't go back to that spot, man. I play, get another spot to play
Yeah,
in.
yeah,
Yeah, so,
yeah.
well, yeah, man, that was an experience right there, and that shit. And that's how it was like back in the day when I was experimenting with that. Me and my buddies would be in the house playing in the room playing drums, and I remember one day it was Dunbar was having a reunion, fired up the shit. And I was like, all right, y'all go ahead. I'll meet y'all later. You know what I'm saying?
Let me get myself together.
Yeah, you know what
You
I'm saying?
know?
I always like to be in control when I'm out there.
Yeah. And that's the main reason why I never did all those other drugs. Because if I can't control myself,
yeah, all the weed, man, and the other
even
stuff
liquor,
would come.
hmm
Yeah, right.
I want to be in control
And
of
I
this
couldn't
vessel.
play. So that's another thing. I would have to wait till I
Hmm.
get finished performing. So all that stuff
If
played
you
a
were to
role.
indulge, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Same thing for drinking, because I used to think that I could take a little shot before I went on stage, and that would help me take the edge off and the
But I
little
can drink.
jitters and stuff. Nah, I can't do none
Because
of
I
that.
used to be shy, right? But shit, after I get a drink up in me or two, shit, I'm the loudest thing in the place. And then I used to drive, and I actually believe that I drove better when I was drinking, knowing I was. Because I remember one time I got home, I ain't know how I got home.
Yeah,
I couldn't remember, you know what I'm saying?
some
So
people think
now I know it was God, right? Or my angels, right?
Jesus took the wheel.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
But
Yeah.
no, some people even think they play music better under that
They
influence.
probably do.
Drinking is different from the other influences, because Miles Davis and them, they did downers, whereas this era, especially since Parliament, they were doing more of the marijuana
And cocaine.
and cocaine. Yeah, now
Yeah.
cocaine makes you hallucinate. Marijuana, certain grades of it will make you hallucinate as well, but I think it's different than the liquid courage.
Mm.
And liquor is called a spirit,
Mm.
which I don't know if you've ever heard of the spirit of gum or something like that. The turpentine. Turpentine is the spirit of the, I think, the pine tree or something like that. And when I say spirit, I mean they boil it. They
The essence, they take the essence from it.
right, and so
Yeah.
it's the same thing for liquor. It's distilled into the vapors,
Mm.
and the vapors, which is really like the firmament, which is similar to, and I had talked about the 10 levels of heaven.
Mm.
Just before you get to the first level of heaven is the firmament, which they say is the clouds, which I liken to, because people smoke, sometimes they consider smoking tobacco like holy smoke, and smoke, when they send smoke signals.
Mm.
All of that is relative to the firmament elements. These are things that are in the firmament. So I think, the holy smokes part, holy smokes, Batman.
Mm.
I think that there's a lot of things that we aren't fully aware of what their level of sacredness is. Cigarette smoking is apparently something that the Indians did, the tobacco in
Well, what I
particular.
heard, my take was on that. Not saying where it was right or wrong. That
Your take? Okay.
my take,
Mm-hmm.
or what I heard, my experience was from when you're smoking tobacco, right? That, and even when you're drinking spirit alcohol, you're opening yourself up for walk-ins, meaning spirit can
Hmm.
come into you. Even when you're smoking tobacco, you get like 15-minute walk-ins, or when you're drinking, it's longer because you ever hear, like I told you, I was drinking and I don't know how I got home.
Mm-hmm.
You black out. And what
Mm-hmm.
happened is when you
Yeah,
black
the
out,
spirit took
spirit
over.
took over.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened is that's why people end up in jail, mess their whole life up, because that spirit took over that entity
Mm-hmm.
and did some stuff. But the entity ain't going to jail. The entity use your vessel, and you
Mm-hmm.
end up in jail.
Mm-hmm.
So
You probably
that's why.
jump out before you get to jail, so you don't have to
Yeah, he
go.
might can be in the jail with you, but when
Yeah.
that spirit, you come down into yourself, he got to go.
Mm-hmm.
But versus, because I'm an air sign, right? Um, I'm a Libra, and and smoke, that's part of my sign. You got fire people, you got water people, but I'm air. So um, when you burn the sage or the incense,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Power
That's the air
Salto.
element.
Mm-hmm.
But then I don't hear anything about a walk-in coming in. But a walk-in probably could come in, but it's probably frequency, and it's probably a better walk-in versus
Well, if you're using
when we just say it's
sage,
levels and
mm-hmm.
stuff. But sage is, but what people don't know too, sage and Palo Santo, what they say is it get rid of spirits, right? And they be doing that stuff. But then the same people, you can have altars in your house.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a money corner, right? A wisdom corner, or ancestor altar. But it didn't say I only get rid of evil spirit. It get rid of spirits. So you got to be careful how you do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So that was just my take. And a lot of times, the spirit talk to me and say, all this stuff going on, and people getting downloads, and we saying this, and that, right? But is that our truth? Even though we can say, just make up something somebody say. Okay, like say they say planet Sirius A and planet Sirius B, and these people come from that. Because I questioned myself when I was a young kid. I was laying on the ground, me and my buddy smoking cigarettes. We was about 10 and 11. He had stole a pack of cigarettes from somebody. And we was out there don't smoke and smoke cigarette after cigarette. And I was looking up at the sky, and I was like, Africa or California, this ain't the same sky because we can't even see that far. I can just see right there in the sky is. How we know that's the same sky? And I'm like, how in fact we even know if it's California or Africa? That's just something somebody tell us. I never been there. You see
Mm-hmm.
shit on TV and the internet, and then everybody, oh, we know this, and this, that. But I always been that thinking, like, how do we really know that
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't experienced that? You feel me? We steady finding out shit that we thought was facts and truth, and find out that it's not. So even
It's
though we are
theories.
going through this thing as wake being awoke and learning stuff, and I don't never hold things as facts unless I
You
experience it
experienced it.
myself. You feel
Okay.
me? And
Facts.
it's always room for change for downloads, because we can travel, we can time travel once we get in meditation form. And
Astral travel.
yeah, you
Astral
understand what I'm saying?
projection.
So, and I'm at the belief now, anything's subject to change if you do believe that you can speak your existence. You feel me?
I want to share some facts with you about my experience with some ETs.
Go ahead.
Can I share that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when I was 5 years old was the first time that I experienced multiple dimensions,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to walk through from this dimension into another dimension several times, to the point where I was able to take something with me,
Mm-hmm.
leave it behind, and come back. So because I was 5 years old, my 5-year-old scientific mind said, well, if I really went somewhere, I'll have to prove it to myself. I had to be scientific to myself. So I took a pack of barrettes with me, left it there, came back, and recognized, oh, I've been somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So, but as an adult, I have done that same thing with the guidance of, I think it was an ET. The reason why I say that is because his name was Charlie, and I talk about him on my Heart Happy Hour
Mm-hmm.
podcast. And so Charlie was the brother of one of the big music producers. He had a Valentine's Day party. So it was, around this time of the year,
Mm-hmm.
20 years ago or about 15 years ago. But anyway, so I went to this party. He followed me around, kept saying, hey, can I get your number? Hey, can we go out? Kept following me, kept
This was
following
a
me.
real person.
This is a real person.
Okay.
So once at the end of the night, after about 3 hours of him following me around, finally at the end of the night, I said, okay, cool. I gave him my number. We talked. He invited me out to dinner. So at our first night, we went to excuse me, the Anchor Inn on Georgia Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
So while we were at the Anchor Inn, he says, "Hey, let me order for you." So I says, "Okay." He ordered my food exactly because I, was in the waitressing industry for a long while, so I
Uh-huh.
knew how to ask for stuff. So, but down to Grand Marnier served in a brandy snifter, warmed. He said all the things that I wanted,
Mm-hmm.
and down to that. So and later on, after we started getting to know each other a little bit, he didn't live far. He lived in Silver Spring, so he took me to his home, well, his apartment. So I went with him, and I told he started showing me different things. He was a carpenter, believe it or not. He made the futon, he made his bed, he made all these things in the table, the
Uh-huh.
chairs in his house. He told me
Okay.
he made all this, right?
Right, right.
So then he made this fish tank, huge fishes in there. Made a fish tank, made the mirror. What he did was the frame around the mirror. He framed the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
So one day after, because he was a great cook, one day after he cooked some dinner, my daughter and I, he would take us, my daughter and I. Well, what happened is my roommate went off the night of that party, and so we started not being it because we were living in a house, but she started not taking her medicine. I didn't know that she was on medication, so she
Oh, okay.
started going off her rocker a bit. So because of the static that was caused in the house, I started spending more time at Charlie's house.
Okay.
So Charlie, he said, well, what's going on with you? How can I be of some assistance to you? I says, well, I'm looking for more of God. I said, I feel like I have something missing from me right now that I need to put in position so that I can be more in tune to the
Right.
godliness. So he gave me these books, and one was The Secret Codes of the Universe. Huge book, thick book. And he gave me another book. It was two books. And so I was like, so happy to have these books. I went to my church and I was like, yeah, look what I got, this, that, and the other. They were like, give those books back. That's of the devil, you know. And so I took the books back and I had decided because of what he, because he actually made jewelry too. He
Okay.
made jewelry from African bone beads.
Okay.
So when I showed the church that, they were like, mm-mm. So I threw those things away and the book and all that good stuff.
Threw the book away too?
Well, what I did was I took the books back to the apartment in Silver Spring. But when I went back to the apartment in Silver Spring, the door that I went to that we would go in was a wall. There was no door where I was going to be going into. So, but let me tell you, that was the end of the story. I missed the middle part where I found out he was an alien. I walked past him that night one night when he fixed me a whole bunch of things, my favorites and whatnot. I was taking my jewel, my bowls and everything, putting it in the kitchen. As I passed him, because he was coming from the kitchen, I was going to the kitchen. When I passed him, his whole cloak dropped. And I could see underneath his cloak was this, it was lots taller than the human person was. It was way up here, and his snout was out here, looking all black and wet and bumpy and little crevices and nooks and crannies. And I'm like, first off, I had just finished training as a ninja. So my energy was on point. So I didn't flex when I walked past him and his veil dropped, right? And then I went into the kitchen. I was like, the fuck was that? What the hell just happened? Is that for real? Saying this in my mind.
Right.
So I get myself together and come back out. I didn't stay long in the kitchen. I came out. He said, well, he was standing next to his fish tank, leaning in because the mirror was over top of the fish tank. So he's leaning on the fish tank and he said, I want to tell you about when I gave my soul to the devil.
That's what he said.
That's what he said. But I think he's talking in terms of how I could understand it. Because if he had talked in terms, let me tell you about Tahuti and me and Tahuti's conversation, I wouldn't have known none of that. Right. Or whatever he would have called that other entity that he had given his soul to. So he starts telling me the story. So that mirror he's standing in front of it, I'm looking at the mirror like it's a freaking movie screen. What he's telling me is showing on this mirror like a movie. So he told me, he said he was in Chicago. He had, his wife had died of cancer. So he has gotten into some depression and he had decided, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get me some hoes. He started tricking his hoes. So one day he's like, this ain't even making me happy. So he was at the IHOP with his tricks and he told them, he says, I'll be right back, because he wanted to take a blow, but he didn't want to do it at the table. Right. Now I'm seeing all this on the screen and while he's talking, but he's like narrating the movie. So he says, he goes by a mirror as he's going to the men's room in the IHOP, and in the mirror, he sees, he says, man, I know you want some things in life, and I think I can give you the worldly riches that you want. You just got to do a few things for me. And that's when he made the proposition, gave his soul to the devil. And from then on, that's who he was doing the dirty work for. So it reminds me of the show Supernatural. I don't know if you know Dean and what's the other? Yeah, Dean and his brother. And so there's Crowley was one of the workers and people on his level of God, where not God, of the devil. And he would do the bidding for the devil kind of thing. And so it turns out that this guy tells me, Charlie, he says, I was sent to deter you from your path.
He told you that?
He did.
And so what you say? What you do?
Well, I know what path I was on at that point. It ain't make no big deal to me. I'm like, okay. I wasn't doing nothing at the time, but I was into the church, and I was like,
he ain't never make you offer to say.
He never made me an offer. Oh. But I'm the kind of person, like, for instance, let me go back to a Joe Clark story from the go-go days, right? Joe Clark, I had a band called Prosperity. And so we were on the Budweiser Superfest lineup. And Joe told me, he said, either you screw me, or I take your boys off the billing. And I'm like, so that guy probably knew that was my way of thinking. So Joe took my guys off the billing, and my band, he kind of like blackballed me, but I'd rather do the right thing than to get in it for the wrong reasons. Because, all these people talking about how they've been on this Bernstein couch and da-da-da-da-da-da to get in. Yeah, he was with Icy Ice. Yeah, Joe Clark and Icy Ice. Not Gary Clark. Not Gary Clark.
I know.
Okay. Because
Joe
was the big...
one night for me at down in Masonic Temple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big.
It's about that time too. We started late.
So I just had to get that ET story out on you for you. We can continue that later.
That crystal, we next time you come. That crystal right there.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I left that joint in Florida.
Oh, right. Did you?
Yeah. Me and my wife went to Florida, and I left it on the dresser, and I called the man, told the man I left my crystal, and could he mail it to me, basically. Mm-hmm. And when we get home, that crystal was on my damn dresser. My wife looked at me, and I looked at, because we knew we took it there for a reason. And that's when I started taking this spiritual game seriously. Yeah. So with that being said, next strong, y'all. Y'all have a good one. This was a good one.
Yeah, One Love and Wellness, Eye on the City, Heart Happy Hour, Season 4. Precious Mother Love, One Love and Wellness family. Thanks for hanging in there with us. Hope you come back. Like, subscribe, share. Ashe?
Ashe.
Ooh.
That's very nice. Very nice.